Okay. Okay. Welcome to the CSFL release show. I'm your host, JD. Let's get this kicking right off with the Bears, the brand new Bears coming in here. They're looking strong with the 87 overall, 93 offense, and a 79 defense, which is above average with the great special teams. Their first game is against the Vipers on the road, and then they get two home games at home, hosting the Rhinos and Gators, which is going to help this young team getting two early home games like this. And then they face the Blue Jays on the road, then they host the Wildcats at home, Piranhas on the road, and then the back half of the schedule for their 7th, 8th, and 9th game to finish, they get a home game against the Werewolves, and then they travel on the road against the Cobras, and then again finish the season at home against the champs from last season. So Bears looking strong coming in. We don't have an overall for them, but I'm telling you, they're going to be great when it comes to the overall rankings with this strong team led by Bill Morris, the quarterback, and the great running back in Hillard, William Hillard, and the receiver, Strickland, is absolutely amazing player. So look out for these Bears. Then we got the Blue Jays. Coming in to season 2, looking real strong with an 89 overall, 94 offense, and a 79 defense, 95 special teams. They finished last season with 5-1-1 record in the regular season. You can see their rankings, played really good on defense and was okay and above average on offense, especially when it came to running the ball. They kick off the season against the season champs from last year, the Dragons. Then they go they start on the road actually, and then they host a game against the Vipers at home, and then they go on the road from week 3 against the Rhinos, and then they get 2 home games, one against the Bears, one against the Gators. 2 home games early in the schedule for the Blue Jays is definitely going to help them out. And then week 6 they are at the Wildcats on the road. They travel. The Blue Jays looking great on the first half of their schedule. Then the 7, 8, 9 game is Piranhas. We get to see the championship rematch against the Piranhas in week 7, and then they go on the road to travel against these brand new Werewolves team, and then they finish the season off against the Cobras. What a great schedule for the Blue Jays, looking strong in the first half, and they finished 5-1-1 last season. These Blue Jays are looking great. Now we got the Cobras coming in, looking real strong. 89 overall with a 94 offense, 80 overall defense, and a 91 special team. Last season, what a big improvement you could see on the defensive side, jumping 4 points, and on the offense jumping 4 points. Look at these boys go. This is the Cobras finishing the 2nd seed last season with a 4-3 record, 2nd best defense in the league. They start the season off at home against the Wildcats. Then they go on the road against the Piranhas. Then they're at home against the Werewolves. with the brand new team, and then they have to travel on the road for 2 away games early. So the Cobras getting tested early in their schedule. Week 4 they're on the road against the Gators, and then it doesn't get any harder than that. And then again, second road game against the Dragons, looking like one of the hardest schedules out there now against the Cobras. And then week 6 they're against the Vipers. Look at the back half at their 7, 8, and 9 game. Then they travel on the road and they're going to the Rhinos. Week 7, what a big game that'll be. And then week 8 is at home against the Bears for these Cobras. And then they finish the season on the road against the Blue Jays. Cobras looking real strong, coming in with an 89 overall, 94 offense, led by Quincy Drennan, the legend, and Ron Simmons, the Don Ron Simmons. They got quite a great offense out there, and we're gonna see a lot more Brian Williams and a lot more Charles Hackett. I know that's for sure. Plus their great outside linebacker, first overall, Vontrell Jean, is gonna really rip it up on defense. So I'm excited for these Cobras. All right, here we are with the Dragons, last season champs. The Dragons coming in with an 87 overall, 92 offense, and a 79 defense, and a 95 special teams, taking a huge improvement from last season. Can you believe the champs won it last season and they got better? Man, did they ever get better in the draft. They finished actually with the first best defense and the second best offense, and tied for first for turnovers. Man, they're looking scary coming out. They start the season off with a bang at home against the Blue Jays, hosting the Blue Jays. That should be a great game. Right in week 1, we get the pleasure seeing these two big Titans go at it, and then they go on the road against the Wildcats. Then they're at home against the Piranhas. Week 3, then they go again on the road against the brand new Werewolves, traveling to see these brand new Werewolves to show them what it's like in the CSFL. That should be a great game. Can't wait to see that one. Then the Cobras at home. Then they travel on the road against the Gators. Then their 7, 8, and 9 game, looking like they're on the road twice actually in the 6th and 7th week. One against the Gators, then once against the Vipers. And then they're at home against the Rhinos. Should be a great game there. They get to host the Rhinos late in the season, and then they get to travel against these brand new Bears team in the last week. So that should be a big game, that week 9 game. And these Dragons coming in with a huge improvement from last season, and can you believe it? They're led by the great Brendan Platt, quarterback. They got a great running back in RJ Barber. And they got the great, you know who, Barry Perkins, number 87 or 86. They're calling him Barry Pill Poppin' Perkins. And holy smokes, did they get good in the draft. They got the great Grant Hale. All will hail to Grant Hale, outside linebacker. Plus they got another outside linebacker. Plus they got more corner. They got another corner. They got lots of great players on this team, and I'm excited for these Dragons coming in for season 2. And here we are. Here are the Gators coming in with an 88 overall and a 93 offense, an 80 defense, and a 96 special teams. Last season, what a big jump they had. 3 points on defense and 1 point on offense jumping. And man, they're looking even stronger than last season. They finished with the 3rd best offense and the 2nd in the pass with the great Eric Reeves and the great offense that they have with outrageous Matt Davis at running back and the great lightning wide receivers that they have in Alan Dwight and Shane Clemens. You know they're good at what they do. Now let's see their season starting off on the road against the Rhinos, and then they get a home game against the brand new Werewolves, and then they travel on the road to the Bears, so they get to see 2 of the brand new teams in the first 3 weeks. So that's exciting to see. Also, they host a game in week 4 against the Cobras, then they go on the road against the Blue Jays. That should be a great game, because last season these 2 teams tied, only tie in CSFL history, and we get to see the unfinished business in week 5, so that should be good. And then week 6, Dragons at home for these Gators. They should be ready for that game, watching the champs come into their territory. That should be fun to watch. And then look at this, week 7 and 8 and 9, it looks like they're going on the road against the Wildcats. Then they host the Vipers. Then they finish it off against the Piranhas on the road. But look at that, they face the Blue Jays and the Dragons back to back, week 5 and week 6. So that should be a real clutch week for those guys down there in the Gator Swamp. So I'm excited to see these Gators coming out with a bang on offense, and their defense also got better. Can you believe these guys? Everyone got so good on these in this draft, with this heavy defensive draft, and you can believe that the Gators got them some too. They got them Ronnie Williams, the strong safety out of the free agency. Plus they got the best, arguably the best corner in the draft in Tony Miller. They got great players. Also Ron Frazier, the Blazer, going sideline to sideline. I'm excited for these Gators coming in to season 2. Okay, now here we are. Here is the Piranhas. Piranhas coming in with an 88 overall and a 93 offense, with a 78 defense and a 97 special teams. Big improvement from last season. They had 90 overall and a 76 defense, so they jumped 3 points alone just on offense. Wow, they look pretty even right across the board. A lot of 6s, 4s, and 5s, but that 4 on defense, don't get it twisted, because they are strong on defense. They are strong on offense. That number 4 passing offense, with Alonzo Graham and Chauncey Preston and Andre Watson. You know, now Willie Burnside's the running back. He's jumped up big time in progression. He's been working out all off season. After that loss, this team went 4-3, and they went all the way to the championship game. They lost to the Dragons, but honestly, this team is getting better. Now let's take a look at their schedule. They start the season off on the road against the Werewolves, and then they come home for their first home game. They host the Cobras, the second seed last season, the Cobras. Then they go against the Dragons, the rematch. The Dragons in week 3. That should be great to see that championship rematch in week 3. We get to see that nice and early. And then week 4, we see the Vipers at home for these Piranhas, get to host the Vipers at home. Then they travel on the road to face the Rhinos. Then again, they go back home to host the Bears. The week 7, 8, and 9 games are the Blue Jays. They they travel on the road, and they go to the Blue Jay Bird Nest, and they go try to get them some big time Blue Jays. That should be a big time game, because there was a big time. This was a big matchup in last year's playoff game, so I'm excited to see that rematch in week 7. Also, they host the 2 home games to finish the season out, one against the Wildcats and one against the Gators, so they get 2 home games to finish out the season, and that should really help these Piranhas coming in hot after their championship title game appearance. So I'm excited to see these Piranhas coming in with Alonzo Graham and Willie Burnsides. Can you believe it? Plus they got one of the best defensive ends with Joey Samuels and Alexander with Jones there. So I'm really excited about that. That's absolutely for sure. These Piranhas are for real. Yes, sir. It's the Rhinos' turn. It's time to go down to Rhino Land. I'm excited for these Rhinos coming in with an 89 overall and a 94 offense. Holy smokes, these guys are getting good on offense, and look at that defense. 81, best in the league. 94 special teams. Look at the difference from last season. They finished with the second most points scored in 34, plus they were first against the rush, and now they're getting stronger and better. Watch out, they like to call themselves the Horns, but these Rhinos, I'm telling you, they're gonna make a big splash this season. They host the Gators at home for their week 1 game, then they travel on the road to face these Bears in week 2, and then they host the Blue Jays at home in week 3, so that's a big time 3 games right off the bat. Then they go travel on the road to face these Wildcats, then they come back at home. Looks like they're going back and forth here. Wildcats on the road, then Piranhas at home in week 5. Then week 6 they travel against to go against these brand new Werewolves and go into the Wolves' Den. So I'm really excited to see that. What these Rhinos do in their first half of the season. Then their 7, 8, and 9 game. Look at this. They host the Cobras at home. That's a big game between the two, between the Cobras and the Rhinos. And the Rhinos are hosting at home. Then they travel on the road to play the Dragons. And then they host the Vipers to finish off the season. And holy smokes, that back half of the season looks tough with the Cobras, Dragons, and Vipers to finish the season. Man, these Rhinos are looking good though. They finished with a 3-4 record last season, and they looked really strong on defense, and now they're even better with the draft pick that they got, Keel McDowell, first overall. Plus they got a lot of other studs back there in the secondary. They got a lot of defensive backs with Dion Murphy, Thomas Vickers. They got lots of guys back there, so I'm really excited for these Rhinos coming into season 2. That's right. It's the snake pit time. Time to travel down to the snake pit, the Vipers. Check out these Vipers. Can you believe it? Can you believe that this team went 2-5? When you look at this team, they are stout. Look at them. 88 overall, 92 offense, and then 81 defense, tying the Rhinos with the best overall defense. Look at that jump, with one of the biggest jumps out of any team anywhere. They went from a 76 defense to an 81 in one draft. Hello. They had the #1 rushing offense with Phil Clemens, 1,300 yards in 7 games. That's absolutely bonkers. And they struggled against the pass, but then they also got 2 brand new rookies in with Johnny Jones, the best rated wide receiver in the draft, and they got one of the best linebackers as well to help that struggling 7th ranked, second last total defense. They got that big boy Josh Cameron in the middle. Man, first overall pick, and he's looking strong. They start the season off by hosting the Bears at home, and then they go on the road against these Blue Jays. So that should be a great game, week 2, right off the bat. Obviously, the Bears game's going to be a good one too, but I'm anticipating that Vipers and Blue Jays game because the Vipers get to test their might right away in that game. Then plus they host the Wildcats at home. Then they travel on the road week 4 to play the Piranhas. Then they host the week 5 at home. And then week 6, they travel on the road against these Cobras. And man, they're going to get tested real early with that kind of schedule. Week 7, 8, and 9, they host the Dragons. And then they go on the road against the Gators, and then they go on the road against the Rhinos. So, I'm telling you, these Vipers got it tough, because not only do they got a tough first schedule, they may have the Cobras and the Vipers probably have the 2 snake teams, may have the 2 toughest schedules in my opinion, because they end the season with 2 road games. They go against the Dragons nonetheless, and then they go against the Gators on the road in week 8, and then week 9 they go on the road again to finish the season against these Rhinos. But man, if anybody can do it, these Vipers can do it, because they are looking strong. They are looking mighty. And I'm telling you, I'm really excited about these Vipers. They were rated real high in a lot of people's power rankings. So man, look out for these Vipers with all the draft picks that they brought in, with all these great players that they got, plus all the great players they already got on offense. So watch out for these Vipers. They went 2-5 last season, but you could probably flip that record around. I'm gonna say these guys get 5 wins, no doubt. Okay. Watch out for these Vipers, man. Okay, now here we are for the Werewolves. And these Werewolves, they are looking strong. They got an 87 overall. They got a 94. Can you believe it? 94 offense. 77 defense, definitely on the lower side, but they got a stout special teams as well. We don't have any rankings for them because this is their first season. They're an expansion team, same as the Bears. So let's take a look at their schedule. First game is at home. They host the Piranhas. That ain't an easy game, that's for sure. This Piranhas, they went all the way to the championship last season. And then week 2, they face the Gators on the road. And then they go again week 3 on the road. Can you believe it? The brand new teams got 2 away games right off the bat in their first 3 weeks. They got to play the team that went to the championship game, and then they got to play the 2 teams on the road. And hey, the Gators and Cobras are no slouches, that's for damn sure. And then week 4 they go back home finally, and they play the Dragons. Oh my goodness, wow, this is probably one of the toughest first 4 weeks any of the teams. And then week 5 they go on the road against the Vipers, who again are one of the best teams. And then they go at home against the Rhinos, and holy smokes, I take it back about the Cobras and Vipers. Werewolves definitely have the hardest schedule, bar none. take a look at this 7, 8, and 9 game, and then, things don't get any easier. Obviously, they go on the road, face the Bears, and then they go at home. So even the game that they have to face the brand new team, they're on the road, and then they come home in week 8 and play the Blue Jays, and then finish the season on the road against the Wildcats. And holy smokes, these Werewolves, they're looking really strong on offense with one of the best offensive lines, if not the best, behind the Rhinos. I'd rank them second. Rhinos probably have the best offensive line. Then it goes Werewolves, and man, their quarterback looking like Ron Simmons numbers, but we haven't seen him play except for the preseason game, and we haven't seen him play in a regular season game. Things speed up a little bit against all the starters. And also, man, their running back with Darius Burke goes berserk. Their running back looking real good, and a 94 overall, plus their defense. I know they may be ranked really low, but they got a couple stars on there that I'm excited to see shine, and I think that their defense can play above their ranking. So I'm excited for these Werewolves, no doubt in my mind that they're gonna do really good. And then the last team, but not the least, is the mighty, the gritty Werewolves. Nah, I'm just kidding. The Wildcats. These Wildcats are looking really strong with an 89 overall, 93 offense, and an 80 defense, 99 special teams. They took a big jump from last year, especially on offense and defense. Look at that, 90 last year. They jumped 3 points in their overall in offense, and they jumped 4 points in their defense from 76 to 80. Holy smokes. They finished with the first in points scored, averaging 35.7 points per game. Which was the first in the league. They finished with the first offense with 3,200 yards on offense, with the second best rushing and the first in passing. They also finished with the first best pass defense, but that 8th overall defense, they ran for 1,400 yards on. The Wildcats could not stop the run at all. They got the they got the 2nd overall draft pick with Joey Norman. They took up some big picks and got some big corners, big defensive players to stop the run. But let's take a look at their schedule, because they finished 2-5. Let's see what they can do this season. They go on the road to start the season, on the road against the 2nd seed Cobras, and then they host at home the Dragons, the champs, at home. So man, those 2 games are not easy. The 2nd best team arguably last season, Cobras, for the regular season, finished in the 2nd seed, and then the first Dragons to win it all, the champs, in week 2. Then they go on the road against these Vipers that I know are super hungry for a win and super hungry to make it happen. So I know that that is not going to be no cakewalk versus the Vipers. Then they go back home against these Rhinos, who I know the Rhinos by week 4 are going to be bashing heads and are ready to bash some more. So I know that's going to be a big one. And then the Wildcats have to travel on the road, broken, bashed, beaten up, bruised, Band-Aid wrapping after that first schedule of the Dragons, Vipers, and Rhinos, and they're gonna have to face these Bears, who are gonna be really, really desperate for a win, if not knocking people down. And I think that they're gonna lose that game against those Bears on the road, and then they're gonna come home against the Blue Jays, and it is not getting any easier for this franchise in the first half. That's definitely a really, really tough first schedule for these Wildcats. and they're struggling defense, but let's see how the regular season plays out with all these brand new rookies. They got a bunch of new corners, they got new safety, they got a new linebacker, they got new defensive end, they got a new defensive tackle, they got lots of new starters out there on defense. So let's see their 7th, 8th, and 9th game. One, they at home against the Gators, and then they travel on the road against these Piranhas, and then again week 9 to finish the season at home against these Werewolves, the brand new Werewolves. That should be an absolute offensive showing. So the last 3 games we're playing, the Wildcats are arguably playing the 3 best offenses, with the Gators on their offense, Piranhas their offense, and these Werewolves with their offense. Holy smokes, that should be fireworks to end the last season, the last 3 games of the season. And that is just absolutely incredible regular season release show. I hope you enjoyed it. You made it this far in the video. We're 30 minutes. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you really enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun showing you guys. So see you in the next one. Good luck in the regular season to everyone. Talk to you guys soon.